Hello everyone, this is Mr. Junior, and welcome back for video number 4 on Gran Turismo Sport Discussion. Now, today, this is going to be a little bit of a different video. Today we are going to do the 10 most likely tracks to come back to GT Sport. Now, these tracks are not in exact order because some of these are fan favorites, some of these are personal favorites, but I believe that all of these tracks will be in the game within the next year. At least a year. Now, starting off at number 10, we have the Fuji Speedway. But not just one layout, but all three. Not only the 80s layout, but the 90s layout as well, and the GT layout from 2005. Personally, this is one of my favorite tracks, and it's a great track to get a high speed on any car that you want. I especially like the 80s version of the track because it has that very long, sweeping right-hand corner. It's also very difficult to get at the very end. Now, forgive me if I butcher this name, but number 9 is Circuit de la Sarthe, otherwise known as the Le Mans. This is a track that is, I know, a fan favorite. It's not a particular favorite of mine, but I do like to drive this track in Project Cars 2 because I just love the scenery of it. Now, this would be a perfect addition because, now for some of these tracks there will be evidence, and for this track, we already have it in the game. It's not a playable track, but it is in the scapes. Now, there are only a few tracks that are in the scapes. One of them is Monza, which was just recently added, as recently as you could figure, about a couple months ago. Another track is the Nürburgring. We already have that. But the Le Mans is in the game, but it's not a track that can be played. Now, that's one piece of evidence to suggest that this game might have this particular track in the future. But there's another even bigger piece of evidence. The sheer number of Group 1 LMP vehicles. There are so many of these cars, no less than 10 or 15. And none of the tracks in the game, and none of the tracks in the Le Mans circuit are more popular than Sarthe. That's just the truth. Everyone knows that that is the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Now, that took a little bit longer. Number 8. This was going to be Tsukuba, because I was going to make this video about a month ago. Unfortunately, well, really fortunately, the track was added in this most recent update. It wasn't the track that I predicted will be in the update, but it's here. I love it. It's kind of there, but it's really fun to drift on. Now, this track is going to be replaced at number 8 with Laguna Seca. I actually didn't know this track wasn't in the game. I'm going to take a cue from Hammer Studios Gaming and say that I honestly didn't know that this wasn't in the game until I actually looked and saw that it wasn't. This game, this franchise has had Laguna Seca since no less than 2. I haven't checked 1 yet, but Gran Turismo 2 had Laguna Seca, and every game has had it since. It'd be really interesting to see this in Gran Turismo Sport because this game has a lot of high definition, very high quality, so Laguna Seca would be really nice to see in this situation. Now, number 7. Number 7 is more of an oddball and a little bit of an outlier, but it's a track which I'm surprised isn't in the game, nor has it been announced. And this is Spa. Spa is such a fun track. It's very technical in a couple places, but for the most part it's very fast, very long straights, very sweeping corners, very complex apexes. But I just love this track. I love racing it. Since it's part of the GT circuit, I really think that this track will be added. It was in the game before. Now, just to let you know, all of these tracks have been in previous games. That's why I'm saying these are the most likely tracks to come to GT Sport. I am not including any tracks that are real that have, or fictional, that have not been featured in any of the games. So, speaking of tracks that have been featured in the game that I want back, number 6, the Twin Ring Motegi, all layout, yes, even the Speedway. Now, this is a track that I never really appreciated on GT4, because well, was mostly long straights and kind of weird corners, and not really that interesting of a track. Until I looked back on it and thought, this is a very good course for racing. There are a lot of straights, there are a lot of 90-degree corners, but that is more geared towards the skill of the driver rather than downforce of the car. Motegi is also a fan favorite as far as I can surmise by browsing the Gran Turismo forums. So, now number 5. This is a track that I have never raced on. It is in GT 5 and 6. I never played those two games, so I've never played this track before. But it's Special Stage Route X. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hammer Studios Gaming said that Gran Turismo Sport was not about top speed, and it wasn't about what GT Sport isn't about what GT 6 and 5 were, which was getting cars to over 250 miles an hour. I hear you say that, but Special Stage Route X is still a good candidate because we have yet to have a course that is a true test track, that is just straight line speed test track. We have Northern Isle Speedway, which is really short and does not get these cars to nearly their top speed. We have the Nordschleife, which, yes, you could just say, oh, turn around, but it's still a very large track, and its whole purpose is not to test a car's top speed. For some cars, that straight may be long enough to reach their top speed. Other cars, like the SRT Tomahawk X, it's not nearly long enough to get its top speed. Now, Special Stage Route X, of course, it's 30 kilometers long, and it has really large turns that really don't detract from the speed of the car. Now, this is a track which I think will be in the game because we have yet to have a course that truly pushes the top speed, the limits of these cars. Number 4, Trial Mountain. There's no evidence for this track coming back, but I nearly guarantee that it will. This has been a fan favorite. Once again, a lot of these are fan favorites, and a lot of these, because they're fan favorites, it's the reason why they're coming back. If there's a track in a game that no one likes, well, why'd you put it in there? No one's going to play it. Your work was all for naught. Trial Mountain, I always get this mixed up with Autumn Ring, actually, because both of them are in a forested area, and both of them have really odd layouts. But Trial Mountain is a course that has rocks on the side, so why wouldn't you? Number 3, Midfield Raceway. Midfield Raceway, I never truly understood how much I loved this track until I started playing Gran Turismo 2, just for fun, and then I got addicted. I have raced Midfield Raceway the most out of any other track on that game. Granted, I haven't played a ton of it, but of the tracks that I've driven, that's the one that I have the most time on. It's such a fun hot lap. I don't know what it is about it, just the turns all make sense to me. None of them are completely stopping. They're all really just kind of flowy, and I especially like that it's a figure 8 configuration, which you don't have that many of. Number 2, Autumn Ring. Autumn Ring is a track that I know I loved in Gran Turismo 4, and I know I'd love it again. This track being set in autumn by default, before there was even the notion of changing seasons, was a very unique concept. There were leaves falling constantly, there were leaves on the track. It was very beautiful. It was a very beautiful track. And there's one part that separates it from others, and it's on the left-hand side of the course. It is the circle that... It's not a complete circle, it's more like 270 degrees, but the track is still very fun. It's very fun, it's very beautiful, and I would give anything to see it in 4K, the 4K form of GT Sport. The Autumn Ring has a shortened course, which is perfectly fine. I like it, it's nice and short, it has a pretty good set of S's, or angled S's. Number 1, Grand Valley Speedway. This has the most evidence for it being in the game. This track is featured on Circuit Experience. You may be thinking, but Circuit Experience doesn't include this track in all of their layouts. No, it doesn't. But if you pay attention to the icon on the home screen, you'll see a track that very clearly resembles Grand Valley Speedway. There is no other track that it could be. It would have been just as easy to have the shape of the Northern Isle Speedway. Just a track, an oval track with 2 arrows. But no, they chose Grand Valley Speedway. Now, I think their intended purpose was to originally have Grand Valley Speedway and Circuit de la Sarthe. I think that was their original plan, but they just didn't have enough time to do that. Grand Valley Speedway, nothing really special about the track. Once again, like all these tracks, it's fun to race on, but I always forget what it looks like. I mean, I know what the track looks like, but I always forget racing on it, even though I've raced no less than 1,000 miles on it. And now we have one honorable mention, which shouldn't really even be an honorable mention since this has the absolute most evidence of it returning, because Kaz has said it himself. Number 0, Deep Forest Raceway. In an interview in February, Kazunori Yamauchi was asked if they were working on any other tracks that he liked. In very particular, this person asked about Deep Forest Raceway. Kaz mentioned that it was already being built. Now, that was February, this is mid-April. I don't know if it's still being built, or if they've stopped, or if they're just waiting until some time to release it, but that has the most definitive evidence that it's coming back, because it has been confirmed it's coming back. Just, it's not in the game yet. It's just one step shy of that. Anyway, those were the top 10 most likely tracks to return to Gran Turismo Sport. I hope that you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like the video if you liked it. Share it with someone if you think this is worth sharing, if you liked my voice. Sorry about my voice. I have been a little sick, and I'm very sorry about the absence. I have not been able to record audio, but I should be able to get back to that very soon. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.